श्रीमद भागवतम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नष्टिकी. Today we completing chapter 10. Shiva and Uma glorifies Markandeya. Shloka number 25 to 42. श्रवणात् दर्शनात्वापि महापातकिनः पीवः शुद्धेत अन्त्यजा चपि किम् उ सम्भाषण आदिभिः सुत उवाच इति चन्द्रललामस्य धर्मगुह्य उपबृहितं वच अमृत अयनम् ऋषीन् अतृप्यत् कर्णयोः पिबन् सचिरं मायया विष्णो भ्रामित कर्षित भृशं शिव वाक् अमृतध्वस्त क्लेश पुंज तम अब्रवीत्. श्री मार्कंडेय उवाच अहो ईश्वर लीला इयं दुर्विभाव्या शरीरिणां यत् नमन्ति ईश ईशितव्यानि स्तुवन्ति जगत ईश्वराः धर्मं ग्राहितुं प्रायः प्रवक्तार च देहिनां आचरन्ति अनुमोदन्त्य क्रियमाणं स्तुवन्ति च न एतावता भगवतः स्वमायामय वृत्तिभिः न दुष्येत अनुभावः तैः मायिन कोकं यथा सृष्ट्वा इदं मनसा विश्व आत्मना अनुप्रविश्य यः गुणैः कुर्वद्भिः आबाधि कर्ता इव स्वप्नदृक् यथा तस्मै नमः भगवते त्रिगुणाय गुण आत्मने केवलया अद्वितीयाय गुरवे ब्रह्ममूर्तये कं वृणेनु परं भूमन् परं त्वत्वर दर्शनात् यद्दर्शनात् पूर्णकामः सत्यकामः पुमान् भवेत् परम एकं वृणे अथपि पूर्णात् काम अभिवर्षणात् भगवती अच्युता भक्तिं तत्परेषु तथा त्वयि. सुत उवाच इति अर्चित अभिष्टुतः च मुनिना सुउक्तया गिरा तम आह भगवान शवेः शर्वया च अभिनंदित काममर ऋषे सर्व अयं भक्तिमान त्वम् अदोक्षजय आकल्प अनंतात यश पुण्यम अजरा अमरता तथा ज्ञानं त्रैकालिकं ब्रह्मन् विज्ञानं च विरक्तिमत् ब्रह्मवर्चस्विनः भूयात् पुराण अर्चाय ताः तु ते. सुत उवाच एवं वरान् समुनये दत्वा आगत त्र्यक्षेश्वरः देवै तत्कर्म कथयन् अनुभूतं पुरा अमुना स अपि अवाप्तमायोग महिमा भार्गव उत्तमः विरचति अधुना अपि अद्धा हरौ एक अन्ततां गतः अनुवर्तितम् एतत्ते मार्कण्डेयस्य धीमतः अनुभूत भगवत माया वैभवम् अद्भुतम्. एतत् केचित् विद्वांसः माया संस्कृति आत्मनः अनाद्या अवर्तितं नृणां कादाचित्कं प्रचक्षते यः एवं एतत् भृगुवर्य वर्णितं व्रत अंगपाणे अनुभाव भावितं संश्रावयत् संशृणुयात् तौ उभौ तयोन कर्म आशय संस्कृति ही भवेत्. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Even the worst sinners and social outcasts are purified just by hearing about or seeing personalities like you. Imagine then how purified they become by directly speaking with you. Sutta Goswami said, drinking with his ears Lord Shiva's nectarian words, full of the confidential essence of religion, Markandeya Rishi could not be satiated. Markandeya, having been forced by Lord Vishnu's illusory energy to wander about for a long time in the water of the dissolution, had become extremely exhausted. But Lord Shiva's words of nectar vanquished his accumulated suffering. Thus he addressed Lord Shiva. Sri Markandeya said, "It is indeed most difficult for embodied soul to understand the pastimes of the universal controllers, for such lords bow down to and offer praise to the very living beings they rule. Generally, it is to induce embodied souls to accept religious principles that the authorized teachers of religion exhibit ideal behavior while encouraging and praising the proper behavior of others. This apparent humility is simply a show of mercy. Such behavior of the Supreme Lord and his personal associates, which the Lord effects by his own bewildering potency, does not spoil his power any more than a magician's powers are diminished by his exhibition of tricks. I offer my obeisance to that Supreme Personality of Godhead who has created this entire universe simply by his desire and then entered into it as the super soul by making the modes of nature act. He seems to be the direct creator of this world, just as a dreamer seems to be acting within his dream. He is the owner and ultimate controller of the three modes of nature, yet he remains alone and pure without any equal. He is the supreme spiritual master of all, the original personal form of the absolute truth. O all pervading Lord, since I have received the benediction of seeing you, what other benediction can I ask for? Simply by seeing you, a person fulfills all his desires and can achieve anything imaginable. But I do not request one benediction from you, who are full of all perfection and able to shower down the fulfillment of all desires. I ask to have unfailing devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and for his dedicated devotees, especially you. Sut Goswami said, thus worshipped and glorified by the eloquent statements of the sage Markandeya, Lord Sir Shiva, encouraged by his consort, replied to him as follows: O great sage, because you are devoted to Lord Dokshaj, all your desires will be fulfilled until the very end of this creation cycle. You will enjoy pious fame and freedom from old age and death. O Brahmana, may you have perfect knowledge of past, present, and future, along with transcendental realization of the Supreme, enriched by renunciation. You have the brilliance of an ideal Brahmana, and thus may you achieve the past of spiritual master of the Puranas. Sutta Goswami said, having thus granted Markandeya Rishi benediction, Lord Shiva went on his way, continuing to describe to Goddess Devi the accomplishment of the sage and the direct exhibition of the Lord's illusory power that he had experienced. Markandeya Rishi, the best of the descendants of Bhrigu, is glorious because of his achievement of perfection in mystic yoga. Even today, he travels about this world, fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I have thus narrated to you the activities of the highly intelligent sage Markandeya, especially how he experienced the amazing power of the Supreme Lord's illusory energy. Although this event was unique and unprecedented, some unintelligent person compare it to the cycle of illusory material existence the Supreme Lord has created for the conditioned souls, an endless cycle that has been continuing since time immemorial. O best of the Bhrigus, this account concerning Markandeya Rishi conveys the transcendental potency of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who properly narrates or hears it will never again undergo material existence, which is based on the desire to perform fruitive activities. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Markandeya Rishi was not eager to hear himself praised by Lord Shiva. but he appreciated Lord Shiva's deep realization of religious principles and therefore desired to hear more. Markandeya Rishi had desired to see Lord Vishnu's illusory energy and had suffered extensive miseries. But now, in the persons of Shiva, Lord Vishnu again appeared before the sage and relieved all his suffering by imparting blissful spiritual instruction. In the material world, conditioned souls strive to lord it over one another. Therefore, they cannot understand the pastimes of the actual lords of the universe. Such bona fide lords have a wonderfully magnanimous mentality and thus sometimes bow down to the most qualified and saintly among their own subjects. The Supreme Lord releases his material potency, and by their interaction, creation takes place. The Lord remains aloof as the supreme transcendental entity. Still, because the entire creation unfolds according to his design and will, he is controlling and is pursued within all things. People thus imagine that God is the direct builder of this world, although he remains aloof, creating through the manipulation of his multifarious potencies. The word Tattapareshu, Tathatvai clearly indicate that Lord Shiva is a devotee of the Supreme Lord, not the Supreme Lord himself, because the representative of God is offered the same protocol as God himself. Markandeya Rishi addressed Lord Shiva as Lord in previous verses, but now it is clearly revealed that, as stated throughout Vedic literature, Lord Shiva is an internal servant of God and not God himself. Desire manifests itself within the mind, that heart, according to the subtle laws governing consciousness. Pure desire to engage in the loving service of the Lord brings one to the most exalted platform of consciousness, and such a perfect understanding of life is available only by the special mercy of the Lord's devotees. Markandeya's being drawn into the Lord's body by his inhalation and expelled again by his exhalation should not be considered a symbolic description of the perennial cycles of material creation and annihilation. This portion of the Srimad Bhagwatam describes a real historical event experienced by a great devotee of the Lord, and those trying to relegate this story to mere symbolic allergy are here declared to be unintelligent fools. Thus end the purport on Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitancha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhecha Krupa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. Today we completing Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto 12, Chapter 10. Shiva and Uma glorifies the Markandeya. Oh, we try to understand shloka number 25 to 42. Here in this shlokas, uh, Markandeya Rishi was not eager to hear himself praised by Lord Shiva, but they eager to Lord Shiva's deep realization of religious principles, and therefore they uh, eager to hear more from him. Like this, what conversation between Lord Shiva and Markandeya that here describing uh, in detail. And one important point is that they told that who narrates this or hears all about description never again undergo material existence, which is based on the desire to perform purity activities that they describing. Now Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhecha kripa sindhubhe evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
So, this wonderful chapter where we are now seeing Rudra and Rudrani meeting Markandeya Rishi, being pleased with him and very eager to give him a benediction as per his desire. Such a wonderful position. So, it's very rare that someone will be able to please everyone so easily. But then that is possible if you are completely devoted and have got your mind, your existence itself under complete control. And that is what we are seeing here. So when this request was made that yes, you can ask whatever you want, just look at how Markandeya Rishi has been explaining. He's telling very clearly that, Lord, you coming in front of me and I getting a darshan of you itself is something which is beyond acceptance, beyond explanation. And you are so merciful that even worse sinners and social outcasts are purified just by hearing about or seeing personality like you. And what to speak directly about you. So Markandeya Rishi was very, very elated. He was listening to all these nectarian words of Lord Shiva and he was understanding the confidential essence of religion. Now, Markandeya Rishi was, because of the illusory energy, made to wander in water. He had become exhausted. So, whatever was his exhausted, whatever was his suffering, everything got vanquished because of this. And he started addressing Lord Shiva. That it is very difficult to understand pastimes of the Niyantrakaha, Niyanta, especially for us who are so lowly. Generally, in order to make people accept religious principles, the teachers of religion exhibit ideal behavior while encouraging and praising proper behaviors. The humility is like the mercy. So, something when Krishna and his personal associates they show humility and mercy, it is as if everything is being affected by the Lord's bewildering potency. But then this does not destroy or disturb the powers that he has. Just like a magician will be doing a lot of tricks with his magics, but then his power does not get reduced by any of those tricks. So similarly, something like this has been happening in my life. I offer my obeisances to that supreme God because he has created this whole universe out of his desire. And not only that, he has come along with us as Paramatma. He has created this Rajogun, Tamogun, Satogun, and just he is the direct creator. While in dream, we try to be acting within the dream, but the moment we wake up, we see the reality. Similarly, this whole material world is like a dream. And once we reach our eternal abode, we'll know that this was all illusion. Krishna finally is the owner and the ultimate controller of all the three modes of nature. He is without any other equal, the supreme spiritual master, the original form of Sat, absolute truth. So, since he had got this benediction of seeing him, there was hardly anything left which he could ask for. And so he was just saying, what more benediction can I ask? Because I have been seeing you all. Because you are someone who is full of perfection and you can fulfill all the desires. And you are the foremost devotees of Lord Krishna. And I have full, unfailing devotion for Krishna and his dedicated devotees. So, Lord Shiva, who is also called as Sarva, he asked Uma Devi to respond to it. And Mata Parvati, she said that because you are a devoted to Adokshaja, all your desires will be fulfilled. And you'll be here till the last day, the very end of this creation cycle. You'll have fame and freedom from old age and death. You'll have perfect knowledge of past, present, future, along with transcendental realization of Krishna, enriched by renunciation. And you'll achieve the post of spiritual master of the Puranas. Such great benediction which Markandeya Rishi received. And while Lord Shiva went, how back describing Mata about the accomplishments of Markandeya Rishi and all what had happened. Now, Markandeya Rishi is glorious because of his achievements of perfection in his devotional service. It is said that he is here even today, traveling all about the world. He is fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion for Krishna. And thus, he is the only one who has experienced the amazing power of Lord's illusory energy. But then what happens is some unintelligent persons compare it to illusory material existence. But then we need to understand that no, this was a unique and unprecedented event. This event makes us understand the transcendental potency of Krishna. And so, if you are able to narrate it properly, hear it properly, then we can overcome material existence. Because material existence is based on the desire to perform fruitive activities. And when we are devoted to Krishna and work under the guidance of Markandeya Rishi like this, there's no question of we being afraid of any kind of materialism. We'll be able to overcome it completely, permanently. Because in this material world, we cannot lord it over anything. But then Krishna is the only Purusha, and we have to surrender unto him. The Lord always remains aloof. Still, because the whole creation is according to his design and will, his controlling hand is perceived within all things. That is what we need to understand clearly. And something else is Tat Pareshu Tathatvai regarding Lord Shiva. These words indicate that he is a devotee of Krishna and not Supreme Bhagwan himself. So that is something which we need to understand, that we have to surrender to Krishna. We can pray to Lord Shiva to get the mercy of Krishna. The Vedic literature are clearly explaining it, that Lord Shiva is an eternal servant of God and not God himself. And lastly, we have to overcome the desires which manifest in the mind and heart according to our consciousness. Pure desire to engage in loving service of Lord will bring us to the most exalted platform of consciousness. And such perfect understanding is available only by the special mercy of the Lord. So we have to understand it, accept it, and try to implement it in our life successfully. The moment we understand all these things, we'll be in a better position to understand about our existence, about how we are not what we seem to be. We are not this body that we are looking at. We are the spirit souls. We are parts and parcel of Krishna, and we need to go back to Krishna. So the story of Markandeya Rishi was there to make us understand this, to make us understand about Mahapurush. And that is why you will see that the subsequent chapter is going to give us description of Mahapurush himself. Then there will be summarization of whatever we have discussed throughout the Srimad Bhagwatam. And final chapter would be the glories of Srimad Bhagwatam. So very soon we'll be completing our complete study of Srimad Bhagwatam, all the 18,000 shlokas, read, narrated, discussed. And thereafter we restart, we reset to re-understand our activities, to re-understand our real purpose, to come together again, to encourage once again to all of us, so that we continue with our pure bhakti and please Krishna, and thus get an entry back home, back to Godhead. And the only way to achieve that is going to be by chanting of the glorious Katha of Krishna and his holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagwatam ki Jai. I welcome everyone who has joined us for the chanting session. Kindly repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Please take beats and chant along with Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.